explain what's going on right now, and then we know what's going on the license. We're moving forward to work with AUIFSA now on the surfing and the flying thing. So moving forward pretty quickly. Thanks for letting me.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Chip?
Yes, I'll kind of give the background of how we came to where we are today with the budget. The Finance Committee met for the second time on May 10th. The members of the team are John Luckett and John Ellis, myself. John Luckett joined us by phone call that day. Also attending was Jim Booth, our chair. During that meeting, we reviewed the 2019-2020 operating line item budgets with the narrative explanation from each department. We also reviewed the operating budget in the new workday hierarchy format that the county has. We reviewed a comprehensive spreadsheet of staff salaries and benefits and expenses. We reviewed the proposed TPEF administrative budget. We reviewed the earned revenue budget. And we reviewed the proposed 2019-2020 budget ordinance, which is the document that you'll be hopefully approving today as a two budgets. The Finance Committee determined that the budgets being presented today are in alignment with the board's direction to staff that was given during the annual planning retreat and subsequent meetings. The major elements of the program funded by this budget have been presented by the heads of the department at the meetings leading up to today. And all board members were invited to attend a budget work session to review the detailed budget. Those were held on May 15th and May 16th. At this point, I'll turn it over to Seth to give some highlights.
I thought I'd start by just identifying the objectives that we're trying to achieve with the development of this budget. The budget planning process is very lengthy, as you know, starting in January and then going into the board retreat. And so you've seen all of the major elements of this over a pretty long period of time. So I wanted to summarize what we hope to achieve with these investments. First is to maintain and enhance the destination vitality for the benefit of the people who live in Buncombe County. We'll do this by increasing visitor spending at local businesses and generating tax revenue and supporting jobs. That in turn makes more revenue available through the Tourism Product Development Fund portion of the money that's dedicated of the occupancy tax. Secondly is to expand our marketing reach to increase lodging demand and maintain occupancy. Those heads and beds are also feet on the street for our local businesses. This will be accomplished through an increase in paid advertising, and also we identified that with the increase of the occupancy tax rate in 2015, that enhanced the budget and allowed us to increase our reach. We won't have another increase like that, and so the reason that we went through an agency review was to look for efficiency and effectiveness in our advertising that could help us expand that marketing reach beyond the dollars that were available. And so you'll see an investment for the ad agency, both in the scope and quality of those resources, as well as investments in market intelligence and measurement tools that will help enhance the efficiency of our advertising. We also will enhance the Asheville brand for meetings and group business. Much of the sales and group services budget is, based on the track record of programs that have worked very well. The one major change is the investment in redeveloping the brand for the sales position. That will also help to educate meeting planners and event planners on how significantly this destination has changed in the meeting groups arena. The fourth objective is to invest in the tourism management investment plan. This budget contains the expense for phase 3 and 4 to develop the community assets that enhance Buncombe County as a place to live and to visit. This budget also includes the funding that you previously approved for the development of the African American Heritage Trail and to support festivals and events. This year alone, $175,000 was committed to about 30 local nonprofits to present programs and cultural events. There's also budget included to engage our partners and provide education, professional development, and networking, and then to activate community engagement through some paid advertising, media relations, and outreach. Of course, we are required by statute, the Fiscal Control Act, to estimate what we think occupancy tax revenue will be and to present a balanced budget. And of course, we are legally obligated to administer the proceeds of the occupancy tax in compliance with the legislation. Any questions or comments about objectives? So the revenue, I think you've all seen the detailed revenue projection. The budget, the board at the retreat in March directed us to anticipate a 3% increase in projected year-end revenue. And so that takes us to $19,358,000. This would also estimate that in the next fiscal year, the Tourism Product Development Fund will earn $6.45 million. Walking through that a little bit, the only change that we made since the Finance Committee work sessions was a slight modification of this revenue projection. As you know, the March financials were showing an increase in revenue of 25%. And so in our earlier projection of revenue, we had included a 25% increase in March, but not knowing how that would change the April results, we became uncomfortable with leaving that in the revenue projection, and so we smoothed that to a 10% increase in March, and then estimated an 8% increase for the rest of the year. So that gave us a year-end projected actual of $18,794,000, which was a 9% change over the previous year and actual. And so that gives us the projected revenue of $19,358,000. So getting into some of the details of the budget, you have some background materials in your book. I think you're all aware that last year when we were preparing the budget on April 1st is when the county changed the financial system from Lawson to Workday. And so that kind of significantly impeded our ability to present a Workday budget that was last year and this year. And so when we met with you individually, we presented in the Lawson budget how this year compares to what we're providing you for next year. We're now at the point where all of that has been mapped into a new hierarchy system in Workday, and so we're just moving forward. We also made the decision that we're now presenting everything in a cost center that is by department. And so in the past, because you kind of inherit budget systems over many, many years, and there were some categories that had multiple departments, and now with Workday being able to allow us to classify by department, that gives us a much clearer understanding of what's being spent in each program area. The ordinance that's in your book that we're presenting for your acceptance today includes a salary and benefits line and then a budget, a cost center for each department. Salary and benefits total $2,683,000. That's a 7% increase over this fiscal year. That includes one new position that was approved mid-year this fiscal but was not in the budget, and that's the Director of Finance. It includes a 3% merit increase for staff, and it includes a health insurance premium increase of 4%. The marketing highlights, again, you've seen lots of detail in public meetings prior to today, with recommendations for agency expenses and media plans, and that is summarized here. So this budget includes a net media allocation of $11,459,989. That accounts for 59% of our total operating budget. And it's almost $1 million larger investment in net media. Ad production is here's a breakdown of the media budget by channel. Just as a reminder, one of the advantages of 360i is very sophisticated media modeling, and so this is based on mountains and mountains of data analysis to identify the best ways to reach our target audiences. Any questions about this that Marla can answer for you?
So a lot more visual.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues in the past with the investment in digital was we felt that other investments were performing better than the quality of our digital, and we're already seeing a big jump in performance of digital advertising, which helps to support our confidence in this direction.
This also takes into account your quality and the presentation value of the scene that for the division and turn it in your television investment.
Right. Or in other words, some saturation in some of our core markets. You're seeing a big reduction in print. And I think you're all aware that when the television budget is not always television, it's always cable-based, like a lot of streaming. Okay, any questions or anything? So just a reminder that based on the return on investment research that we've done, every $1 that's invested in paid advertising almost immediately returns $43. I think that our current campaign's effectiveness and efficiency will outpace this based on that most recent research. It's a $43 spend in our local businesses as a result, and $3 of sales tax, and then almost $1 in occupancy tax to pay the system back. And from our economic impact study, we can also estimate where that money would flow. And so 28% of direct visitor spend is in food and beverage, 23% in lodging, 14% in recreation, entertainment, all of the activities, 23% in retail. And then as those businesses buy goods and services throughout the community, that'll generate another 50% in total economic impact. So we estimate that the return on investment to local businesses will be $494 million based on that. Our group sales, as I mentioned before, is pretty much the continuation of a successful program, including 17 trade shows. The major addition for this fiscal year is $125,000, included for a grand refresh. We issued an RFP for that. Diana will report on it at our next meeting, and have the responses were reviewed yesterday. It also includes stable funding for the Sports Commission at $205,000. It does not include the $40,000 that was in this year's budget for sports bid fees. We certainly will bring those opportunities to you for approval as they arise, or if they fall within $50,000 spending authorization. If timeliness isn't back, we can go ahead and approve that. The meetings development budget is budgeted $35,000, down from $50,000 this year. The team will review the criteria for this and recommend any necessary changes to it in future meeting. Administration facilities is the next line item. This is basically the executive office and everything it takes to run the team. So general administration totals about $268,000 of that total. Rent is $212,000. We took an increase this year, but I think now we have one more year of increase and we'll be stable for 5 years. And then the contingency in this budget is $118,000. Our public affairs budget totals $82,000. One increase this year is for some contract labor monthly forums, $15,000 budgeted for collateral that includes the printing of the annual report and materials for CDB 101. Also an exciting new addition is part of our contract with 360i to increase their value to the local community is that they will present a day-long marketing seminar that will be free for nonprofits. Of course, we've budgeted food and other support to present that program. Tourism product development, the administration budget totals $504,950 this year. This includes $250,000 we've previously approved for phases 3 and 4 of TMIP, $200,000 for wayfinding administration, including $90,000 for annual maintenance, $100,000 for system assessment. You'll recall that we did a system upgrade for downtown this year. We also did some community engagement to get input from stakeholders in the River Arts District. And so we're moving into the design phase for interdistrict wayfinding in the RAD, and then we'll bring back for a future fiscal year the cost of implementation for interdistrict signs in the RAD.
On the wayfinding, the new naming of the series, that's gonna change the wayfinding sign for the whole town, is that right?
That's what the city included in their proposal to Harris, and the cost would be borne by Harris.
That it'll take over. And who's the responsible for that?
Yes. That's our current. Earned revenue, we went through this in a lot of detail last month. If you're like me and you can't remember what all of these events, something or other, so actually the labels, these actually refer to the spend categories where, but this, this is basically support for local festivals and events. This has been a really satisfying program to have the opportunity to provide this funding. I won't repeat all of the details because it was just last month. All right, that's it. The ordinance and backup are in your books.
Thank you, Stephanie. The budget order was posted on exploreashevillecbd.com. Our public inspection on May 10th. We will now have a public hearing on this.
So I'm gonna open up a public hearing, now that the budget has been presented, to see if anybody has input, questions related to next year's budget. Ron, would you like to be?
I'm good.
You're good?
If he's good, I'm good.
You sure? Well, there's the, brain trust. Okay, thank you. Like I say, I'll close the public hearing now.
A notice will be posted in the Asheville Citizen Times indicated there will be a second public hearing on June 26th. Any other questions? At this time, I'd like to make a motion. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move that the BCTDA accept the proposed fiscal year 2019-2020 budget ordinance as presented and provide it for public comment, including a public hearing during the BCTDA board meeting on June 26th, prior to final adoption on that date.
So we have a motion. Those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Stephanie, back to you.
Remind me who was at the Tourism Summit. Okay, so we presented most of this at the Tourism Summit, but I'm going to just kind of briefly recap the elements of a community engagement campaign that has been running since the end of March. A reminder that $25,000 was allocated from the earned revenue that is received from advertising on exploreasheville.com. So we're really delighted
Our community is incredibly special, with unique people doing the work they love, and wonderful public places where we gather, play, and relax. Tourism supports the community we love. People who visit spend $2 billion a year at local businesses. Tourism puts 27,000 local people to work. $44 million in grants support community projects and places. Tourism builds community.
At the Tourism Summit, we had a Light Your Spirit Run Free Lounge and recorded other tourism partners talking about how tourism helps them live their dreams, and so we're going into editing on that today. Look forward to showing it to you. Here is a print and digital version of the ad, some other assets that have been running. This was a partnership with the 828 that included a lot of different elements. This is a really nice editorial piece. ABL Today covered some of these topics. I did an interview with iHeart Radio yesterday that will be rebroadcast on Sunday morning on all 6 of their channels.
Asheville is an
Oh, sorry, that was the piece that was aired. We also distributed some editorial pieces, including this opinion piece that ran in the Citizen Times, a letter to the editor to Mountain Express in response to the story they had run the week previous. This great piece placed in the Mountain Express by Kay West, highlighting how the tourism industry, restaurants and hotels support nonprofits in Asheville. This is an interview that I did with Blue Ridge Public Radio about our support for the arts in Asheville. And we've been doing extensive public opportunities for speaking, and I did also a radio interview with Dwayne Dial recently. So it's been a very active month in celebration of Tourism Week. This was Marla's initiative. You want to have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think we're pleased about how everything has come together. The assets will, I think, serve us well as we go into the spring and into stepping forward. We have some money in the budget for next year, and so these assets that will continue to be used going into the next fiscal year.
Thanks, that's some great stuff. Thank you, Stephanie. Julie?
Nothing happened at all.
Seriously, can you, I'm gonna do my best. I probably don't need to talk about anything. Probably a few things been happening this week, but, are there any questions that I might answer? Right.
Let's take a comment. I know that your new city manager, Homa.
Yeah.
Homa.
Good.
Very excited.
Thank you for making time to do that. She's great.
Sure anybody wants to ask Julie a question? Okay, thanks, Julie. Miscellaneous business, how about comments from the general public?
Hi, my name is Steffi Roush. I'm with Citizens Climate Lobby. I'm going to pass you guys some handouts, if I may. Do you guys need some as well? Yeah, we have enough for sure, so just pass around. I just want to mention that last week the Senate passed legislation providing $19 billion of disaster relief funding for all Americans, of which would go to our state as well, the farmers, and the military base Camp Lejeune. With these increasing events that are happening, this is obviously going to affect the tourism industry, as well as our lifestyles in general, as we get more drought and more flooding and wildfires. At some point, someone must consider how much more taxpayers can basically pay for this temporary relief funding without plugging the hole in the boat. We need to come up with a federal solution to climate to address it head on. Now that we have a first bipartisan climate legislation to be introduced in a decade called the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, we need more business leaders in our society to stand up and speak out to the legislators. This bill satisfies the 3 corporate pillars of sustainability: environmental, social, and economics. It is a market-based carbon pricing approach that has the strongest, most comprehensive reduction in emissions ever to be legislated or introduced in Congress. It returns the revenue back to the people. As a monthly dividend check, it offsets the rising cost to households, and it helps to support the economy. A couple months ago, you heard from Jim Tolbert, who came in to speak to you about the Economist Statement, which is the largest public statement of economists in history. It had 3,500 signers, including every economic advisor to the president since Ford, on both sides of the aisle. Since then, there's been several other economic statements been published by big-time CEO climate leaders. Also, there's been 2 reports that have been done. The Remy report, which showed that it would help to basically support economic and job stimulus, especially in the health, food, retail, beverage, and real estate sectors, of which some of you are owners in. The U.S. Treasury Department also did a report showing that is the most progressive solution if the money is returned back to the people. This is the most progressive. And most households in the bottom 70% would be better off. The American Sustainable Business Council came out with a statement representing mostly small and medium-sized businesses saying that this would reduce emissions, provide predictability and flexibility to adapt over time, spurs innovation, creates competition and jobs. Business climate leaders created a summary of the impact of this bill on small and medium-sized businesses. You can look at that as well. And the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, a public policy trade association with about 300 more members with big-time names, actually endorsed the bill. So Airbnb, Apple, AT&T, BOA, Bank of America, Coca-Cola, Facebook, Google, United Airlines, Wells Fargo, eBay, Facebook. There are several more statements on the back of this one handout I gave you regarding carbon pricing, which is a more general term for cap and trade, as well as carbon tax, as well as a fee and dividend approach from the World Economic Forum, calling it as an effective carbon pricing mechanism that drives a meaningful price on carbon across the globe. Last week, Ceres led 75 big player companies, large CEOs and companies from New Belgium, Capital One, Pepsi, Johnson & Johnson, Tesla, Microsoft, Nike, went to lobby on the Hill for a carbon tax. The very next day, after they lobbied, we heard from Congressman McHenry's office and finally got the meeting that we've been trying to set up for a year with the brewers. The breweries, we have so far 8 endorsements for the bill, 15 for our proposal that we had submitted carbon fee and dividend. We finally have that meeting with Congressman McHenry, I think because those companies went to lobby on the Hill. The CEO Climate Dialogue had another statement, economy-wide price on carbon as the best way to use the power of the market to achieve carbon reduction goals in a simple, coherent, and efficient manner. The Climate Leadership Council created a conservative case for carbon dividends, labeling it as the most effective, popular, equitable, and pro-growth climate solution. And then the Business Climate Leaders is a wing of the CCL chapter, which we are pushing for carbon pricing principles. So if you're not comfortable signing on to a fee and dividend approach, you can sign on to that. But we are here today to ask that you support this legislation. We need to address climate. This does affect Asheville. This does affect our industry. We need to start stepping up. And so we encourage you to please get in touch with me if you have any questions. I also want you to know that my email as well as the bill is on the back of the corporate support statement, as well as the bill I gave you a handout as well. Trout Unlimited Presbyterian Church also endorsed us, and we were covered in the Rotarian. So that's the April issue of the Rotary magazine as the climate solutions within our reach. There's a whole article about CCL if you want to learn more about what we do. That's huge for us. So I encourage you to please endorse. We need more business leaders stepping up. Thank you.
Thanks, Ebony. Thanks for your efforts. Any other comments?
Yeah, I'm Don Nicholson. I'm a local builder of zero carbon footprint homes under the name of Nicholson and Son, SUN LLC. I'm also a professor of physics at UNCA, Okay, I want to mention 3 ways that climate and tourism in Asheville are related. So just quickly, important for tourism is the disposable income of those people within a day's drive or a one-stop flight, which includes South Florida and New York, of Asheville. Okay, number 2 is the climate in Asheville, including the beautiful surrounding area. And 3 is the energy of the people in Asheville with respect to arts, beer, outdoor, and social issues. Okay, so first, disposable income. When economists say that putting a price on carbon is the most efficient thing to do, is the best thing to do, it means that it's the thing that leaves the most disposable income in the pockets of people in the U.S., for example. So people who can spend it on tourism. The other thing that we have to worry about is if there is hurricanes in the east, or flooding, or fires, all climate related, or across the country, we will end up spending all our public resources on that, and we'll have none left to address the fundamental problem. So the sooner we can act to get a price on carbon, the best, the better. Okay. Now, as far as so that's disposable income. We have to increase that in order to make progress. Okay, the people of Asheville put energy, and I think people come to Asheville because there is that energy. It is known as the beer city and the climate city. We need to reinforce that. I think we can bring people into Asheville because it is the climate city. And it's important that, City Council and county have sort of signed on to this idea of putting a price on carbon. Okay, now for the climate. The climate is going to change. We want to reduce it. As the climate changes, Asheville will be affected more than Greenville and Spartanburg. There will become more days when the weather in Asheville is the same as Spartanburg, Greenville than there are now. So on all these fronts, it's imperative that we take action as soon as possible. Putting a price on carbon is the best way to do that. So I encourage you to endorse the CCL position, or just in general, a price on carbon. Now locally, we already have social action. Warren Wilson is the first college in North Carolina to sign the higher education statement in support of a price on carbon. I'm working very hard at UNCA, and I think that there will be a similar statement from the Chancellor at UNCA. So that's my input. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Good morning. First of all, thank you on behalf of the Sports Commission for your continued support and your generous inclusion in the budget. Really appreciate all of your support. I appreciate all of your support. Thanks, Diana. Sorry. And especially that of the staff and team. We really enjoyed being here. Sorry, I don't know what's up. Just a couple of recaps. As you know, last week we finished Oat Root, and it was a tremendous success. We weren't sure going into it because they had a lot of management changes, a lot of personnel changes over the last year. But the bottom line is there were 21 executives from Europe that came over, including the CEO of OC Sports, which owns Oat Root. And they have all these, he's getting ready to, they're going to have a sailing event from Spain to Charleston next year. So that's the scope of the parent organization. So we had 319 registered riders, 298 actually rode. We had a couple go down in some practice rounds earlier. So, but 298, which was what our 300 goal that we had kind of established for them. Like I said, 21 executives. They've totally changed their performance model. Their performance model going forward will be 2 locations in the United States, Colorado is gone. The 7-day race did not work in the United States, so it will be 2 events, and they hope that Asheville will be one of them, and then they're looking for the second location. Currently, they're in San Francisco. We're working on a plan. One of the great things, and we're waiting on the hotel blocks. Takes a little while to get that, so I can't tell you the room nights right now, but they filled up all of their room blocks and had to get additional rooms for staff. So that was a good sign from that standpoint. So just thank you. On the heels of that, you will see a press release today. The Grand Fondo National Series, which we've been hosting for a couple of years, they are now owned by Oat Root, and they're moving their national championship for the next 2 years here to Asheville. So this year it'll be open to anyone. Next year you're going to have to qualify to come in, but that's 500 riders. It's on Sunday, July 21st. And the good thing also is they're now partnering with Asheville on Bikes, which is really good with our cycling advocacy right now, and they will also be partnering with Evelyn Charities. Our grapple wrestling tournament is growing. We went 12 teams, 21 teams. We're up to 31, some more coming. Thanks, Chris, all of his support. But the good thing is we have a team from Tennessee, we have 3 from South Carolina, 1 from Virginia, 3 from Georgia, and 1 for West Virginia. So we created a local event that's now creating room nights in December. So really excited about that. And then SoCon, we are in continuing discussions with SoCon. We have 2 years left on our contract, and we'd like to go ahead and extend that. So we're working with them currently right now. I'm not sure if you are aware, but Commissioner Iammarino is retiring at the end of June. So they are literally, will have a new commissioner. They're actually in that process right now. But pretty busy, and just want to thank you again and for your support and for the support of all of Stephanie's team. So thank you.
Yeah, Chris.
Good morning. I just wanted to stop in. I'm Chris Coral, General Manager at the U.S. Cellular Center. So last month I was here, and I know we had some questions about our naming rights. I'm sure you all saw in the news that has come to an end as of last night. City Council voted 6-1 in support of the Harrah's offer. Just for clarity, because I actually heard on Blue Ridge Public Radio coming in the wrong name, and I've seen the right name in some media reports and the wrong name in some others. The name is the Harrah's Cherokee Center Asheville. That will be the name moving forward. Not Arena, which has been reported. The ExploreAsheville.com Arena name is safe. It's built into the deal with Harrah's. And as with U.S. Cellular, it's still the ExploreAsheville.com Arena at Harrah's Cherokee Center Asheville moving forward. And Thomas Wolfe Auditorium at Harrah's Cherokee Center Asheville moving forward. So I just want to make sure that was clear, that you guys heard that from us, from the source, because it can get confusing out there. And I know it's hard for all the reporters to get the right name as that comes through. But thank you for the support. As always, it's great working with Diana team, and we'll keep moving forward. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. I think it's also just a good opportunity, since you're able to clarify on the naming rights for ExploreAsheville.com Arena.
Yep.
I think it's a good chance to just say publicly why we have the naming rights for the ExploreAsheville.com Arena, and that resulted from an investment of almost $6 million
Yep.
Towards the product development fund grants into the Civic Center facility.
And that-
Not
yeah.
been widely reported that, that level of support has come from the TDA to help support what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's been in effect since, I believe, 2011 without having it in front of me. And it runs 3 years after the last grant payment received, which we still have another grant payment that's owed once we get done with our project that's happening this summer. So that looking like it would probably be 2023, 2024 as far as the sunset.
I think there's a total of 4 grants
Yep.
that were started in 2011 and still continue to be implemented, including improvements to HVAC, lighting, sound, curtaining. So we're really happy to be able to partner with you to help support the facility.
Thank you, and we appreciate it as well.
And since we're talking about it, there's been some chatter or questions about why the TDA didn't put a bid in for the naming rights. Do you want to just address that?
Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to do that. Thank you for that question. We are, the legislation that mandates the use of the occupancy tax uses, for that revenue. 75% of it is dedicated to tourism promotion, and there are definitions around that. Our specific legislation specifies that that's for regional, state, and national promotion. And so that has been interpreted for over 35 years as meaning, placing promotion outside of this area to attract visitors into this area. The other 25% is dedicated to the Tourism Product Development Fund, which is awarded a total of $44 million to 39 different projects, including $22 million to City of Asheville-owned assets, and as I just mentioned, the $6 million for this facility. The legislative requirements on that funding are that it's for capital, so it's used to build stuff that is around for a while, and also that it generates incremental room nights. And so, as you know, there's a process of evaluating those projects. Typically, in the past, they've been presented by the applicant, in this case, the city, and they're reviewed for their conformance to these legislative guidelines. And so we, have approved every application that I'm aware of that's been received for that facility. And as everyone here knows, we're embarking on the Tourism Management Investment Plan that in part can address these bigger, longer-term needs that exceed the revenue that's typically available in 1 year. And so we have not yet received a proposal for the renovation of Thomas Wolfe, but we look forward to several of those plans.
So just to be clear, so the TDA's position, and presumably a position developed in consultation with your attorneys, is that the legislation did not allow you to put in a bid for sponsorship rights in this framework, in this context. And I know there are people out there who don't agree with that interpretation, but that is the interpretation of the TDA's lawyers and the TDA staff. So that's why. I just want to make that clear for anybody who's listening.
Or watching.
Well, I mean, it's, again, there's, it's not that you just sat on the sidelines and a lot of commentary. It's felt your hands were tied. Actually, sorry. I did remember two things that I wanted to mention, but go ahead and finish public comment.
Okay, Kim?
My name is Kim Roney. I live in West Asheville, and I was really encouraged today to see the language that the TDA is looking at the TMIP, and I'm very hopeful and eagerly anticipating what it will mean for us to see an investment in Buncombe County as a place to both live and work. I serve on the city's Multimodal Transportation Commission and the Transit Committee, and I can let you know that both of those groups have endorsed full funding of the Transit Master Plan in this year's budget cycle. We had over 20 people from Asheville come to the City Council meeting last night advocating for those hours. And I wanted to let you know what that means for me. I bartend at the Mothlight. I attend shows at the Orange Peel and the Grey Eagle, and I am attending those shows with a lot of people who came to events here in Asheville from outside of town, and they're staying in our hotels. And I have bartended at the Mothlight and a variety of our restaurants in downtown Asheville, and have served visitors. I sat down next to someone last night who was visiting from New York, and they told us what a wonderful time that they were having. They were served by people who used public transit to get to work. But I also worked for 2 years at the Inn on Biltmore Estate, where I oversaw the in-room dining or room service department. And so I'm very familiar with how our support staff are getting to and from work. The extended evening hour service would include Sunday service till 8 p.m., and that would include holiday service as well. And I know that a lot of our hotels are seeing their biggest checkout days and busy at capacity times are on weekends and holidays. So I'm hoping that as you have these conversations with our city council members and county commissioners this coming next couple weeks in the meetings that I heard that are happening, or if you want to reach out personally as I have, that you would ask them to set up a system for public transit that we can grow and connect businesses with their employees and their customers more effectively. That starts by adding the evening hours so that we don't delay the transit master plan moving forward, but it is going to take a collaborative effort, and I believe that it's doable. Thank you.
Kim, can I just thank you for coming and also
Of
say
course.
that Rich Lee is representing the Multimodal Commission on the Community Leadership Council.
Wonderful.
And we really appreciate the willingness to bring that knowledge to the table and be part of this discussions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Appreciate your comments, clarity on that, and also, all of us depend dramatically on our workforce to get the job done. None of us can do our jobs without, the day-to-day ability of people to get to work when they're needed, and also, pay equity and, all the many things that are involved in that. So it's critical. So thanks. Any other comments? We'll call the meeting. Oh, Julie, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just on that point about, on that point, I think going back to our board meeting maybe 2 years ago, board retreat 2 years ago, I think we all realized the importance of transportation in our community to this initiative. It is also one of my hopes that the TMIP, is that what we're calling it? Yeah. Will end up in a place that will allow some funding to support that system. So we'll see how that goes. The thing, so the two things. Number one, we're both in our budget processes, and the city's budget is out there. It's on the website. There's a significant new investment in transit, not as much as everybody would want. It is a significant new investment that will expand hours by about 20,000 hours. So it's a good step. It's not as far as we need to go. It's not as far as we just want to go this year, but and some other good things. So encourage you to take a look at that. The other thing is that in light of some of the new hotel proposals that are out there and the Flatiron discussion and decision, discussion. I think Deborah is going to start a conversation about creating some policy guidelines or framework around improving hotels just in the downtown area. That may end up being for all hotels. I don't know, but I think we're all just doing we don't have a basis. We don't have any framework within which to make these decisions. So I don't know exactly what that process would look like, but it could be a work session. It could work its way up through one of our committees. I don't know what it'll look like, but I think we've asked her to